otherwise.
Hey guys, congratulations on your first event.
Thank you.
Obviously you had some big knockouts, some good submissions, a couple upsets.
Right.
How would you grade the overall night?
You couldn't ask for a better start, put it that way. It was electrifying. It was Professional Fighters League at its best. Wow, the beginning of its best, should I say. But now we were really excited. And, you know, you match fights up and you go, okay, these guys are going to be good, these guys are going to be good. But you don't, you never know what's going to happen until they come out. And of course, I think like Lance touched on it, they realized that the first round finish actually gives them, 3 extra points. So I think that was the guys' mentality, was come out and finish the fights so they can get into that playoff. So, no, super excited for the way it went.
Obviously with the new league, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. One, you just talked about matchups. How did the opening round, how did the matchups get decided?
Well, I match up the fights and, what we think is, going to be, I mean, regardless, everybody's going to fight each other anyway, right? So we match up the fights so that everybody comes out and we see what they're made of. And again, like I said, you match fights and you hope it'll go the way it went tonight. So I couldn't be more excited.
Look, everyone came out. I mean, you saw it. You had 4 fights. Everyone jumped on it. There's
right.
a couple turnarounds with Seiler that was a surprise.
That was amazing.
They're getting first round finishes. They're walking away, and you hear them talking about how their corners are saying, "They got 6 points. We got 6 points, guys." And they know they're in a place where, as they look at their second round of the regular season, they're in a commanding spot
right.
as they think about being one of the top 8 to get to the playoffs. And that's just, I mean, you could feel it. You could even see it on social and what was happening during the Facebook feed when people were talking about it. And look, Andre got a great win, but Andre got 3 points. Lance got a great win, but Lance got 4 points. It starts to change the way that we think about it from the regular season to the playoffs and the championship.
I know you addressed how injuries will be handled in the playoffs. What about the regular season? Say tonight, Andre Harrison broke his hand. He can't fight. Does a replacement come in, and does a replacement inherit his points?
No, a replacement will come in, but he won't inherit his points. If Andre is cleared by the doctor and he's able to fight, well, actually no, because he's just fought his first fight. So if he can't fight his second fight, whoever the alternate is will then take his place. And if the guy that took his place ends up scoring a knockout in the first round and goes for 6 points, Andre's out of the game.
Yeah, so basically you've got 12 guys that started the regular season.
Right.
If one of them tonight can't compete in the second round, we would bring a 13th person in. They would only get 1 fight in the regular season. But if they got 6 points, that 6 points might be enough to be in the top 8.
Yeah.
Because the pool would just be the top 8 out of 13. So what we'll do, Ray and I'll do what we always do, is we're gonna, we'll look at what the New York State Commission gives to all the fighters. We'll understand when they would fight next based on their injuries and their suspensions, and obviously, help them, give them the time to recover. Right now, this card would be slated to fight at PFL 4, which would be in Nassau. But if there are some injuries and things, you may have noticed that the first half of the regular season is 3 fights. All of our fighters after the 3rd fight will have gotten their first round of their regular season. The second sort of half of the regular season is 4 fights. Ray and the team did that on purpose to give us the ability to push and pull based on things with the commission, so that if someone had a swollen hand and the commission says you can't really go for 30 days, and we'll look at all those, it gives us the ability to push and pull within those 4 fights.
Xavier Porter, BrooklynFights.com. First off, congratulations, phenomenal event tonight.
Thank you.
Do we have a total amount of fans that attended today?
I haven't gotten the finals from MSG, but I got a text that said that it was over 4,800, but I don't have the final number.
How about on Facebook?
I don't have the final numbers on Facebook either, but we're going to be putting that all together. We'll release it probably on Monday once we get the NBC Sports Network numbers.
One more question. Are you planning to sell out each time out?
Are we planning to sell out each time out? Yeah, we've actually planned to sell out all 11. But I think tonight the New York fans came out and supported, some of the local guys like Andre and others. But I think they came out and said, you know what? this format really seems cool. We're really happy that the Professional Fighters League's starting. We want to come out and show them. You know, I was also loving all the cheering and stuff that was going on in the arena here. I think it was a great environment. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all had a lot of fun too.
Do you have any of the next for the featherweights and heavyweights? Any of the matchups
No,
planned?
that's not done yet. We should have that done by Monday, Tuesday next week.
Yeah, so we're gonna try, we've put a sort of a league rule that Ray and the team will get together, and on Tuesday after the fight, based on all the things we've talked about, it'll give us the time to get in the medical and the commission suspensions based on injuries, and then Ray and the team will look at how to match up that second round of the regular season for the 45s and the heavyweights.
Could you guys clarify how you handled the Jordan Lynn situation? Who gets the points in that? Is it a walkover? Are they going to be rescheduled to fight?
It's good. It's a good question. We're just waiting on some final stuff. As you know, Sean Jordan didn't make weight, and Ray and I are going to look at that situation at sort of the league level. We had a lot going on after the weigh-ins, and we obviously wanted to have a great show tonight. So we'll look at both the Lynn situation and the Sean Jordan situation, how we'll move forward.
So it's something you'll take by a case-by-case basis then? It's not necessarily 3 points immediately for not making weight?
Yeah, there's some other issues with that fight that we just got to sort out. But yes, in a normal situation, that would be a walkover. That's laid out in the rules and regs. And for a walkover, you would get your 3 points. And we're just trying to get the final details of all of those pieces so that we can clarify that. But we'll do that shortly, maybe as quickly as tomorrow.
What'd you learn from this first event that you can take into your next event in terms of production, organization, workflow, the whole event as a whole?
I don't.
There was a lot to learn today.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pieces. Look, we were live around the world on Facebook. We were live in the USA on Facebook. We've been on NBCSN for 6 years, so that felt good. But we also brought a lot of new features in. I mean, we had some fighters commenting and participating in the Facebook Watch piece. We had some technology, and we had some striking, and we had a telestrator. We had a lot of pieces. So I think what we'll do, like any good organization, we do a post-mortem after all of our fights, not just from the fighting operations, but the TV production and the digital production. We'll probably have that meeting on Saturday once we can all also look at the show, because we were all here in the arena, and then we'll make some adjustments and improvements as we get to Chicago, which is 2 weeks from tonight.
Do you guys pick like the matchmaking for the next round? Like, do you guys do matchmaking? Is it random? How does that work?
Yeah,
What's the process behind it?
we do all the matchmaking.
Okay.
Yeah, so
for every
during-
show.
yeah.
Well, for every regular season fight.
Yeah, so the matches, as you know,
Yeah.
are already, Ray and the team have already set up PFL 1, PFL 2, and PFL 3. And then coming out of the results of each of those, then Ray and the team will look at, as I mentioned, all those pieces with respect to what the commission hands down, and then how the matches will be set for PFL 4, 5, 6, and 7, so that all the fighters have the opportunity to get their second fight of the regular season.
Obviously, there are, for example, perhaps some fighters that have more points than others at this point. Like, do you look at that and do you try to match, like, winners against winners, losers versus losers, or how does that process?
It's a good question. I don't think it's as simple as that. And the bottom line is, no matter what happened to you tonight, you've still got to come back and try and win, and possibly win in the first round to get your 6 points or your 5 points or your 4 points in the second. So, we've talked about it, and as much as you could look at the matchmaking and would you try and have this guy fight that guy to get him there? At the end of the day, and Ray will say it over and over, you got to win to advance. And so we'll look at what the best matches are. Ray and the team always do that, and I think tonight you saw the results of that with, I think, 11 great fights.
Do you guys worry about the way that you're incentivizing the first round stoppages and if that might cause injuries?
No.
No, not at all. I mean, if you saw all the knockouts tonight, especially the first round knockouts, even the first round submission, I mean, it was not only exciting for us, the team, but the fans loved it, and everybody was tweeting about it. You know what I mean? And like, even the fighters, when they walked out of there knowing that they won 6 points, now the guy that lost with 0 points is really going to come out and win first round in the next show. So it's exciting. I think it makes it for a great show.
And I think a knockout is a knockout and a submission is a submission in MMA. We will all fight under the unified rules, so I don't think it's any different. It's just, I think guys are, and girls, as we get to Kayla 2 weeks from now, are going to be thinking about how do I get into the playoffs. All 72 of these fighters, we met with them in Orlando a couple months ago before this fight, and I promise you, all 72 of those fighters said, I am going to be one of the 6 guys to win $1 million. So that's what they're thinking about when they come out here and fight.
So on a night with so many great performances, are there any that really stood out to you?
I think the first 4 or 5 fights was just crazy. Again, you match the fights up to evenly so there's good fights. But you can never predict what happened tonight is going to happen. You know what I mean? I think out of 11 fights there was 8 finishes. So when that happens the way it happened tonight, you just go, hey, that was awesome. You know what I mean? So it's just exciting.
Yeah, look, Nicholson's, I mean, we talk about it all the time that we don't just have fighters, we've got great athletes, and I think Nicholson, he not only said it, but I think he showed it. I mean, it was a very, very crazy athletic move, and, he just caught Jake, the right way, and
especially from a heavyweight.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know if I've seen a heavyweight do a jumping flying knee.
Other than you.
Yeah, but I missed.
And one more question for me. How do you guys choose the bout order? Because technically the last fighters have the advantage of perhaps strategizing. The first fighters just go out there and fight, but the guys towards the end, they might, because of the results, they might know, okay, I need a win here, like I need a finish, or maybe
you can't strategize in the regular season. You got to go out and win.
It's an interesting point. I mean, now that we're going to get for, say, the 145s and the heavyweights, they're going to now be thinking. They're going to look at their standings. We've got some guys that have got 6 and 4 and 3 points. We've got some guys that have 0 points. There are no draws tonight.
Right.
And I think you're right. They're going to go out and say, where's the cut line going to be? Probably no different than in, some other sports. You sort of think of, the cut line at the Masters or the U.S. Open. And, those guys have to, play a certain round so they can make the cut and fight in the weekend. And now these guys are all going to go back and say, I have 0 points. Got to look at who Ray's going to match me up with and then understand what they think they're going to have to do to have the best opportunity to be in the top 8. And I think that's what, look, we're all talking about it the same way that you talk about it as you get to the NFL playoffs those last weeks. This team has to do this and this. And I think that's really going to add an interesting dynamic and a real sport format to what we're doing here at the Professional Fighters League.
Yeah, 0 points. You have no choice but to go out there and fight. The way I fought, even throughout the K1 days, it didn't matter to me if I was winning or losing, whatever. Every time I stepped in that ring or that cage, it was to win. And at all costs, whether it was a knockout, whether it was a submission, it doesn't matter. So I hope that mentality is the same with everybody. And tonight, I think everybody proved that. That's exactly the mentality they have.
You have all the dates announced. You haven't announced all the venues. You hinted on Monday on a podcast show that you would reveal them soon. You got any nuggets for us?
No nuggets yet. I mean, right now we're looking at a number of places. As you know, we've got a really awesome, dynamic evening for the playoffs with 2 rounds in the quarterfinals, followed by 3 rounds in the semifinals in the same evening. We've got commissions like Washington, the D.C. Commission. We got commissions like Arizona. We got commissions like California and a few others that have already approved that format. And so obviously we're looking at venues in those locations. We'd really like to be out west. We'd like to be in Nevada, and Ray and the team have talked to Bob Bennett there about the format. And so we're in the process right now of locking down some venues in D.C., Phoenix, Nevada, and California, and hope to announce something soon for the playoffs.
You've already talked about a second season. It's already planned, you said. You talked about adding a women's division. Is there any other divisions, men's lower than that, planned on added, or multiple women's divisions?
Yeah, not at the moment. I mean, we're going to watch Kayla fight. She's 0-0. She's going to have an interesting fight against Brittany Elkins on 2 weeks from tonight in Chicago. So women's division is on the table, and then Ray and the team are looking at whether we should add a 135, or do you expand the division from 12 fighters to 16 fighters. Those are 2 different ways that we could look at it. and then possibly, most likely start earlier in the season in 19, but we're not quite there yet. After, I'm glad you guys are excited enough that you're asking it after our first event, but we're not quite there yet. But we'll work through it during this regular season.
How many women do you have currently signed?
Well, for this year,
Yeah.
the only woman that we've signed, is Brittany and Kayla.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because we don't have a women's division for this year.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So you just only have 2 women signed right now?
Correct.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, there's a list that I have
Yeah.
of 16 women. So I got to go through that list and choose who I think it's be good for the season 2019.
Yeah, but really,
that's
what you're going to see in 2 weeks is really a special event inside the Professional Fighters League season, and that's Kayla against Brittany. Kayla, as I mentioned, 0-0. Maybe a decorated Olympian with 2 gold medals, and so she's going to now step into the cage for the first time as an MMA fighter, and then Ray and the team will sort out where we go the rest of this year.
Last question, guys.
Go ahead.
What was the feeling? You go from World Series of Fighting, you announced Pro Fighters League. What was when the first fight happened? Did you take a deep breath? What was your reaction to what was your reaction when the first fight happened? This was happening.
I think, we were all excited because it was our first day back. We've been off for a little while, so Carlos and I were really happy to be back. But then when the first fight happened, and that got a knockout, and then the next fight happened, and that got a knockout, and then the next one happened, that was a submission, and the next one happened, it just went one after the other, and the excitement just built. And so we're super excited.
Yeah, look, this has been a long time in the making. I mean, more than just, it's almost 3 years we've been thinking about how to put this together. I think all the details have come together. But like any good laid plan, you've got to, you got to start.
Yeah.
And we started tonight. I know I was excited yesterday. I was really excited tonight. I think the format held up, and I think it's going to continue to hold up. And I think the fighters showed that they're going to bring excitement in the cage. And at the end of the day, everything that we've done over the last 6 years, it's always been about Ray really bringing great, authentic fighting to the cage. And now you overlay that with our regular season playoffs and championship, and I think you've got a big winner.
Finish off.
All right. Obviously, I think we'd all agree this was a wonderful, successful event. But with success comes critics.
Right.
The critics are going to say, hey, they're doing a tournament style, UFC style of the tournament, Bellator style of the tournament. Neither organization does it anymore for a reason. Why would it be different?
Well, first of all, it's not it's really not a tournament style.
Right.
It's a league style. There's a regular season, there's a playoff,
Yeah.
there's a championship. Tonight, thanks to Ted Leonsis and the Capitals, they won a Stanley Cup championship. But they were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They were not in the Stanley Cup tournament. This is not a tournament format. What this is a regular season that fighters have got to earn their way into the playoffs. And in the playoffs, they fight the quarterfinals and the semifinals. They come back 60 days later, and they fight in a championship. And so we've heard it a lot. You hear about this didn't work, that didn't work. Many organizations over the last year, and even as recently as we've heard, have all been talking about coming back and putting together tournaments. And some of that might be because they've seen the kind of format that the Professional Fighters League has put on. I think tonight is the beginning of that. Tonight was a big success, and the season's going to be a big success. So we're excited about it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
guys.